Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And I sound weird because I just woke up from a little nap. And it's just Marco here today, once again, to talk about Wandavision, Episode 5. This was another trash episode. I know people like this episode a lot. Of course, on IMDb, the overrated movie television website, people give this episode like a 9.9 out of 10 or some crazy shit. I did not like this episode, and for yet again, the same reason that I've been complaining about this whole time. They focus too much on stuff that has nothing to do with the plot, and then they'll have this little stuff at the end that's Wanda and Vision, the stuff that we actually want to watch. And once again, I'll say it again. If this was a movie, a 2.5, 3 hour movie, and it was mostly just Vision and Wanda, tension growing between them, their conflicts, all that stuff, I would have loved this. I would have thought it's one of the greatest things, if not the greatest thing the MCU has ever done, and then make it rated R. But no, this episode, let's see what happens. Well, there was a lot of blasphemous shit. Let's just start off with that. There was a lot of shit that completely destroys the comic mythology, as usual, of course. Like the recreation of Scarlet Witch's fucking abilities and her origin. I hate that awful origin. I mean, the MCU, they have the mutants now. And yet still, Scarlet Witch's origin in this movie is that I mean, I'm not kidding you. Her origin is that she was a disgruntled teenager, and she was what do they call that? Radicalized, and she was messing around with this Infinity Stone. I mean, that's literally her origin. That's literally an origin for a human being. A human girl was just messing around with an Infinity Stone, and that's how she experimenting with the Infinity Stone, and she got powerful. And also, she could have totally taken on Thanos all by herself if not for the Blitz or whatever bullshit they said. Like, stuff like that just I wanted to throw up. I was so like, ugh! Like, that's such bullshit. And then the thing with, like, Captain Marvel was close to beating Thanos. That's hilarious. It's so stupid. Just this terrible, terrible, cringeworthy agenda writing, trying to rewrite history, trying to form a narrative to what they want to end. And the worst part was how much they were defending Wanda, and how much it's like, oh, why are you acting like she's a terrorist? She's not a bad guy. And like this whiny, babyish behavior by these people are supposed to be professional. They're supposed to be people who are supposed to deal with these types of situations with these people who do these evil things, and they have to, like, these really high level situations, and yet you got this bitch Monica Rambeau, the shitty version, not the version from the comic books, and she comes in here and says, like, oh, why are you calling Wanda a terrorist? Why are you doing that? And she's just like whining and whining. And then she even says, like, that it wasn't planned. And then they find out that she broke into some facility and stole Vision prior to this. And it's like, it makes her character look terrible. I'm sorry, but I hate, you don't have to have a character so adamant about a narrative. Characters don't have to be this outspoken. When someone is doing this type of an investigation, when they're trying to solve this type of a crisis, they're not going to take a firm position and act retarded whenever someone says the truth, like the fact that she's a terrorist, she's taken a whole town hostage. That's true. She's an evil bitch, and she comes out at one point. They got all their guns aimed at her, and she is like a villain. She's a villain, and she's got this bullshit about how she wants to be left alone, and they're invading her property. Like, like, do you know how fucking stupid that sounds? Do you know how insane that sounds? How evil that sounds? Just imagine, in any hostage situation, if, let's say, a mass shooter took over a building, and when police came up to the building, he's like, hey, you're invading on my property. If you come any closer, I'll shoot. Are you going to not say that person is a terrorist? Or a mass whatever? Really? Like, they're just already coming up with so many excuses for this evil villain. And I can't stand it because she's really evil. I mean, it's unsettling. And it would be even more unsettling if it was treated like an R-rated horror movie, and if it was made like that. Like, if they were able to go that far and go like as far as they could with, given the story and what she's actually doing. And then, of course, the best part of the episode, there was some really good stuff in the episode that didn't have anything to do with the majority of it. It's like 30 minutes of trash and then 8 minutes of greatness. But Vision is at work, and then something happens where an employee, where he sees Vision sees a message sent to him on the computer, and that notifies him of what's going on. He gets a little suspicious, and then he breaks an employee out of the trance. Can't remember his name. He's just some random guy, and he's like, help us, please. We're in severe pain. She's torturing us 24/7, and it's like really creepy. And you got Vision, you got Paul Bettany, fantastic actor, acting his ass off in this episode, and that leads to a fight, and it's their first fight, and so it sort of aligns with they're married and they had kids, and now they got to fight for once, and so he comes home, and he's just like really like he's disturbed by her and what she's done, and so he confronts her, and they have this like epic dialogue back and forth, and they're both about to kill each other too. Like they're both, it gets really intense, and that was really well done, and the best moment of the series so far. And then it ends, and there's also the fact he brings up that he doesn't see any kids around except for theirs. Why? Because they're where are they, like trapped somewhere? Like, she's holding kids and making it so they can't eat, they can't drink, they can't go to the bathroom, or they have to go to the bathroom all over the floor. I mean, this is gross what this bitch is doing. And so yeah, the episode, in terms of, and I gotta talk about this, in terms of the parody elements, once again, this is the 90s or the 2000s, whatever. I think it's the 90s. I don't really identify with, I can't really identify the parody element. I can't really get a grasp on that because I haven't really seen any 90s shows that are like this. Like, I think they said something about, like, I don't know, like Family Ties or whatever with Michael J. Fox or whatever type of show. I can't remember, but I haven't really seen any of those. But it was okay. It was okay. I mean, they had some jokes with, like, the kids aging, and then the dog dies, and then she brings it back to life, and of course Agnes, she's just, I mean, come on. I mean, can't you tell she's a witch? I mean, she's creating these things out of nowhere right when they need them. I mean, it's so obvious. And so I would give this episode a D+. It's still not average. You know why? Because the majority of the episode was the shitty real life stuff with the agent guy, and then the shitty Kat Dennings character, who I'm so effing sick of that character. I'm so sick of that. Just please, please stop making that character a thing. She's not going to happen. I mean, stop trying to make her a thing. She's not going to happen. Please. Her character sucks. And then Monica is even worse, because she's like got this like narrative that she's got to spew out to make people know, like, okay, this is establishing that Scarlet Witch is the most powerful person in the universe, and it's establishing this and establishing that, her origin, all this type of stuff. Oh, and the fact that she's really not evil, even though she is. So they're really using her as a vehicle to have an agenda, the agenda of what they want people to think. And basically, like, recapping more of what's going on, even though I don't need a fucking recap. And so that's the reason why this gets a D+. If this whole episode was just Vision discovering what's going on and being disturbed, and then he confronts her at the end, and they have a fight, if that's what this episode all it was, I would have given it like a B- or a B. Like, that's how bad it is. I mean, you have something good here. You have potential for something great. And yet you're choosing to have these episodes where it's just so poorly structured. Again, because this should not have been a television show at all. I can see what they're doing here. They're trying to tie everything together in a very cringeworthy, forced way. They're making it to where, okay, you're watching this series, you're going to have to watch the next series. You're going to have to watch the next movie, and then you're going to have to watch the next movie. And so they're trying to addict you. They're trying to hypnotize you and to keep on watching. Instead of that, they should have just made a movie, a WandaVision movie, had it be the first MCU horror movie. It would have been phenomenal. It would have been probably like the second greatest, or maybe even the greatest MCU movie ever. But instead, we have the shitty show WandaVision, which I would say it is still better than a lot of MCU movies, but that's just because most MCU movies are complete garbage or mediocre. And so the show really doesn't have a big hill to climb for that matter. In terms of spoilers, I already spoiled everything because it's a TV show that's been out now. And so if you watch this, you're probably someone who's already seen it anyway. So please like this video. And then comment. Tell me what you thought about episode 5, because I know everyone loved it. A+, whatever. That's not how I do things around here. Because let's be honest, the majority of this episode sucked. The stuff that wasn't the good stuff sucked. And you can't ignore that bad stuff when it just sticks out and when that's the majority of what's going on. And then also I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel if you want to see more WandaVision reviews, because I'll keep them coming. Goodbye, everybody.